And after several months of delays, we finally got our Technodrome from Playmates. The reissue of the classic Technodrome in the TMNT line. We're excited to see it. It comes in pretty much mimicking the original packaging, which I love with a lot of these classic figures. They have that little 40th emblem thrown onto the corner there. Now, before we get into it, we know it's going to be a little smaller than the classic Technodrome, I think by like 2 or 3 inches. That is addressed in our interview with Playmates that is on our website, so head over there and check that out if you're curious as to why they made it a little shorter. So basically it was to make it a little bit more sturdy and secure is what they told us. But it should still work with the figures. So we're going to test that out. We have all the figures that were released in the Playmates Classic line. We're going to be testing out some of them, particularly the ones that are featured in the picture here, to see if it works like it's advertising. So why don't we get this guy open and check out what's included. So really quick, what's in the box? This is not going to be an unboxing video. There are a ton of those out there on the web if you want to see them, on how they spend all the time in the video assembling it, putting on stickers, all that. We don't want that. We just want to see the product here. So let me just show you what's in the video, in the box itself, and that's going to be the base, the jail cell, the steering column, some little odds and ends accessories, another bag of supporting parts, the rolling eyeball there, the sticker sheet, of course the left side and the right side. And that is basically it. Through the magic of editing here, we're going to have this together and check it out right now. All right, here we go. It took a little bit of time, I'm not going to lie, to assemble this thing. Some assembly required, it's more like all assembly required, but we got our Technodrome here. And like I said, it's going to be a little smaller. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 inches smaller than the original Technodrome. So you're looking at about 85% scale of what the original Technodrome was. But it has all its parts, it has all its stickers, and it's, yeah, I mean, it's your Technodrome. It's basically what you're looking for. I mean, it's a lot less if you're trying to get the original Technodrome. You're looking at over $200 to $300 for a complete Technodrome. So the neighborhood of this, I believe, is $80. Is not awful when you think about it that way. And it still fits your turtles. We'll be trying it out and showing you right here. The instructions are obviously different than the original Technodrome instructions. I want to say they're about the same amount of stickers as there were originally, but a couple of them are already applied, so you don't need to worry about that. One sticker I noticed was kind of weird here was number 20. And oddly enough, it was number 20 in the original Technodrome before too. And that is sort of like the little pit sticker. I'll show you what I mean about that in a second here. It shows it is going on the side here, underneath on the panel, but it doesn't, as far as I recall, and as I've seen on a ton of other Technodromes, it goes right here. So I don't know why they have a picture showing it going on the inside. But I looked at the original instructions, which you could see here, and it does go there. So I'm not sure why they would move that one out of all of them. But that is essentially your Technodrome here. It has all the same pieces, as far as I could tell, as the original Technodrome, so they kept that consistent. So why don't we crack this guy open, and we'll show you the inside here. We'll start with one side. It's going to be hard to show this whole thing all together. So we'll start with the side here. They still have these little foot stoppers here to allow the you know, the weight of the playset not to break off the side. This still opens, and it kind of has a nice like push-in latch, which I appreciate. You still have the jail cell that still opens, and you can see that here. And that all works. So we have the little crane command area here. So here's the crane from Playmates. We're going to pop it in here, and it fits perfectly. No surprise there. I don't think anyone was concerned about crane fitting into his playset. The crane fits in here perfectly, and he can rotate for the most part without hitting the wall here. So that he's got clearance. His escape hatch is right here, so that still works. And then you have all the weapons that store here, and the stickers still have those problems where they don't want to stay on. So that's lovely as always. That happened back then as well. The stickers kind of bent around the edges. Yeah, so that all fits in there. I don't think there's anything different about how that functions. And this is basically all they show you on the box in terms of who fits in on this side. So everything fits exactly like they show in the pictures. So let's go check out the other side now. All right, I wanted to reposition a little closer for this side because this is where you do see the bulk of the figures. So let's start with Shredder here. We want to get him in his little command chair. Now Shredder is kind of difficult because there's no joint on this leg and it sticks out. So you're really restricted on how you can fit him in here. But, you know, we are able to get him into the seat. He's just not going to sit as far down as they show it on the picture, at least not the way we're able to get him in here. we could only sort of get him in like this, basically into the seat, not going down mid-back. I don't know if we're just not angling the leg right or what, but that's as far down as we can get Shredder. I mean, it looks like he's in his seat, but that leg sort of keeps him from getting closer to the wall. We can get Donatello in. I know on the packaging they use the storage shell turtles as opposed to the real turtles, and the way you can tell is mostly their belts, like they're, you know, red instead of black, but they're the same size. I actually think the original turtles might be a little bit shorter, because the storage shell turtles had to be made to accommodate, you know, the storage shell. So they're a little bigger, and the midsection a little taller. So we're going to use a shorter turtle here just to see how he fits. And I think he fits pretty much like he does on the package. I mean, I already tested him. Like on the package, they have him hanging out a little bit, his arm hanging off the side a little bit. So he still fits in there the same way. So they weren't using some kind of like deceptively scaled turtle in there. So he fits in a little bit tighter. And then I think the only other one they had in there was Bebop. And I'll put him in here so we could see how he sits in the chair when he's piloting the back here. And again, his legs kind of keep him from getting too close. And you can't really angle him that way, but he could sit in like this. So he fits in kind of like roughly how they have him in there. They have him seating a little bit lower. I'm not sure how they're doing that. Maybe you just got to play with the legs here. Let me see if I turn the legs up a little bit more. I can get him seated a little bit lower in there if you play with the legs, but he doesn't sit quite flush in the chair. That's about as low as I can get him. So kind of similar to how they have them on the package. So I don't think they're trying to pull a fast one with those labels or anything. So they have Mikey doing being hung from the manacles here, I think. Or no, I don't see him hung from the manacles, but they just kind of have him doing like a handstand. And yeah, that's pretty much what he looks like. And then they have Raph on the spinner. So I'm going to take him here. I'll take the, what we were talking about, the smaller Raph in the classic line as opposed to the storage cell line. We'll put him on the spinner and we'll see how he goes. So we get this belt. This belt was like a very commonly lost thing from the original set too. Like you won't see a lot of these belts available. So this is, you can get him, it looks like he could spin without hitting anything. These manacles are a pain. No, I'll move this out of the way for a second here. I think you're supposed to be able to twist it one direction and then it will go back the other way. Yeah, it will. So you got to kind of have to get them positioned just perfectly. And I think you have to play around with this belt. But if you get it positioned just right, he should be able to clear and spin. Because I just made a full rotation. I didn't hit anything. That was manually, so he might spin out of control. There he goes. So you'd have to get him positioned just right. But there is the clearance for him to spin without hitting anything, as you can see right there. So yeah, so if you get him just right on the rotation, there he goes. So he can spin without hitting anything. So that does work. So that's great. It does work as advertised, and that's what we were most concerned about. So you have all the parts here. I mean, it functions as it would. It does work with the turtles as advertised, so they're not lying about that. I know some people said it doesn't work with the turtles. It does work with the turtles. You can read in our Q&A with Playmates, a lot of the scaling decisions, according to them, was to make it a little bit more sturdy than it used to be, and you know, they're just working with what they have too. And a lot of decisions on when they're changing around a lot of components for things, it's because they don't have a lot of those old molds too. So they're doing the best they can with some new retooling while trying to keep the price the same. I mean, if you look at anything, for example, like a HasLab, the reason those are so expensive is because they're being created fresh tooling. I mean, they don't have existing components to map it off of. So they're spending all that money on coming up with the molds. And then it's being sold in a small lot, a small batch of like only 10,000 instead of like, you know, 50,000 or something. So it gets a lot more expensive. All right, so the last thing we want to check out here is this eye and how this still functions. Now, oh, I didn't show you the shredder hatch here. I did kind of at the beginning, but the shredder's escape hatch or whatever, that still works the same way as it did before, same stickers. And then we have the eyeball. So we have that function there. Oh, I'd have to get the inside here in order to get it to roll. So this is obviously the eyeball is a little bit smaller than it used to be, but you just pull the steering column and it still rolls like it used to, which is great. I don't recall that ever happening in the show, but it was fun to have on the Technodrome. So that is essentially a quick look at the Technodrome. I didn't want to belabor the point too much. There's a lot of videos out there if you want to watch people assemble it. But for the most part, you know, the stickers and the instructions are pretty easy to put there. And then you have all your different components here. You have your Krang escape hatch. You have weapon storage here. You could put different weapons from different characters like foot soldiers or Bebop and Rocksteady, or you know, if you want to throw some of the turtle weapons in there too, you could do that. Here's Bebop's drill, so you could throw that in there. And then you have the playset. The only other feature I didn't show you was that trap door. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm just recalling this. So the trap door should be able to accommodate a turtle. For some reason, if he's up here trying to steer, he could go through the door and fall into the prison. And then you could, if you move him out of the way, you could reset it. So that's the only other function. And then you have your turtle in jail. So that is, yeah, all that functions exactly like it used to. Same stickers, all the same components. Everything is the same here. The brain scrambler works, which is great because it's really tight in this reduced scale, but it still functions if you get them positioned on there just right. And then of course you have that little connecting game plank that you have to seat on there, but it still has the manacles, and you have the other manacles, both sets of manacles. All the parts seem to be here. It has all the guns, it has everything. So, I mean, in my opinion, for the money, I think it's worth it. If you didn't have this as a kid or you still want it now, paying $80 is much better than paying $300, particularly if you're just going to use it for display. I mean, if you wanted one for solid play and you wanted that great functionality, then yeah, you want the original. But that was when you were a kid, and that made sense with the toys at the time. But I kind of feel like these guys are a little bit shorter than they used to be too, so maybe they're a little bit scaled, so it works better than the originals. I don't have an original to try with me, but you know, if I get a chance to grab my original Technodrome, we'll take a little comparison shot, and I'll post it up on the socials. But otherwise, this is your Technodrome, and it has all the same features, all the same functions, all the same stickers, all the same parts. It's just as great as it used to be, except it's a little smaller. But if you get past that, I totally think it's worth your time to get one of these. And that's our look at the Technodrome from Playmates, releasing now as an Amazon exclusive. I know there's mixed feelings out there about the size. I mean, you're just going to have to deal with it. I think for the $80, what you're getting is you're getting that old school Technodrome. Sure, it's like 85% scale, but it's also significantly cheaper than buying the original Technodrome right now. You're looking at spending at least $300 more if you want a better condition one to get a you know, complete Technodrome, and most of them are still missing some parts. Even when they advertise complete, they're missing like Krang's escape hatch or something like that, and that's really hard to find. You could spend like 50, 60 bucks just on that part if you find it. So it's got all that. It fits the turtles. These are the Playmates classic release turtles that are out now. These aren't the vintage ones. So it does fit these. And I bet if you played around with it a little bit more, you could get it to fit exactly like it does in the picture. I showed you, I got Bebop in there further when I played around with him a little bit more. Shredder was a little tricky because of that left leg. If that was bent at the same angle, he'd sit in there easy. But yeah, they all fit. You can get the brain scrambler working. I proved that to you. You just need to get it perfectly situated in there and get that belt on right. I didn't want to play with it, but you can get it there. It will work. The eyeball works. All the other components work. Everything works. It's got all the same stickers. It's got all the same parts. We're glad to see this come back. The wheels, I didn't show you, but the wheels do rotate when you move it just like it used to. This wood desk I got for some reason does not like to work with things on wheels that you've seen in all my other videos. I can show you here. This should work. There it goes. If I have anything else on this desk, it's like the slipperiest desk ever. But anything else will make it roll. So that piece of paper there, the instructions. So that is it. So you can get the Technodrome now from Amazon. You can get these turtles now from Amazon as well, or from anywhere else. Some of them are still in the stores. They just slapped that 40th label on them, so they issued them again. The storage shell turtles are out there. These guys were, I want to say 22 or 21, and they came with that original classic backing, but I think there's a 4-pack that you could get through either Amazon or Walmart, so you could get these guys, but they're not going to be on their classic card backs. But you can still get them. So if you want the classic turtles and not the storage shell versions, like I said, are a little bit brighter in color, and they have you know, their respective colored belts as opposed to the originals. And they have that storage shelf function. I mean, they open up and they have the little parts that go on the inside. And we did a review on the storage shells. So if you want to see that, how we got every single part in the storage shell, go for it and watch that video as well. But you get those and the Technodrome, so it's great. You get everything together. Future playsets, what is next? If you go back and look at our social channels, we covered the Playmates panel at Comic-Con. We also had an interview with Playmates, and they confirmed the sewer layer is coming next. I imagine it might be a little scaled down, so be prepared for that. But the sewer layer is coming next. That's something a lot of us want to see again. That was an amazing playset. It's really hard to find that, find it complete right now too, even for reliable or reasonable price. They confirmed the mutant module is coming, and that pairs well with the Technodrome. So it's not in scale, but it never was in scale. But the mutant module is coming too. And of course, more classic figures. So it's going to be a great 2025 from Playmates. We're going to see a lot more characters out there. So, I mean, the sky's the limit in terms of what they reissue next. I think they want to do everything is kind of their goal. So hopefully we get a lot of those characters back. Some that we were never able to get because they were rare or didn't make a lot of them, like Scratch. I know a lot of people have asked for Scratch to be issued again. So we'll see. But that is all for this time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm excited about it. That's why I wore my Technodrome shirt. Finally got this. After all the influencers got it, they started shipping them out to everyone else. So we just got ours this week. I don't know why it was pushed back so many times, but it's finally here, and it's great to get. I think it's going to make a great gift too for the turtle fan of your life. So think about picking that up. We'll put the link on the bottom of this video for you guys to grab it. We'll have more Turtles videos. We'll be looking at other figures, and we'll be looking at some new releases as well. And of course, we have our Marvel Superheroes vintage review look, so tune back for that. It's a 7-part series, so keep checking that out as well. And that is all for this time. So as always, like, subscribe, and follow, and then we'll see you guys next time.